Let's move from codes and technology to another area where governance is becoming increasingly important. Let's move further. So, alongside ODR, what you have been deeply involved in sports governance. How did that journey begin?
See, I was always passionate about sports law, and when I came back from England in 2010, I wanted to carve a niche for myself, and I decided to look at a particular discipline within the litigation framework and try and see how I can make a difference there. And that particular discipline turned out to be sports law. Now, sports law, not many know. I mean, now it's become extremely popular, but in those days, it was it was what intellectual property was in the early 2000s. It was an emerging area. It had very few practitioners in that part of the decade, and I always connected myself to sport ever since I was a kid. I've played almost every other sport. I'm a classic case of jack of all trades, master of none. Because I've played cricket, I've played football, volleyball, I've played kabaddi, I've played badminton, I've played every sport, but I've never excelled in anything. But that taught me something. It said that you don't have to necessarily be a sportsman to make an impact. You can also look at, try and see how you can reform institutions, how you can make sport a better place, a better platform for sports people across the country. Like how technology and the legal sector and the judicial sector how judicial sector was the last frontier for technology. Had COVID not taken place, as far as sport is concerned, only now we are seeing a lot more awareness of sports and sport driven reforms that have come into the country. So for me, sport was very personal, and I was just fusing my litigation experience, my passion for litigation and sports, and trying and see how to uh, be involved in reforms at that point in time.
That's a powerful insight. So, why is governance so important to the future of sports and esports?
See, today, the last reform that took place in the country as far as sports law is concerned was in 2011 when you had the National Sports Code. For the better part of the last decade and a half, India's never had any great reform in sports in whatever format. It was only under the leadership of the Prime Minister that the sports vertical, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sport, after extensive consultation, came up with the National Sports Governance Act of 2025 and the National Sports Governance Rules of 2026. This, by far, is one of the most tectonic reforms in sport governance in the country. What has happened in the past is sporting federations have always been the breeding ground for Nepo kids. Now, that has transformed. Now, today, unless you have a good intent to leave an impact in sport, reforms are not going to aid you. So, sports governance is one of the key critical verticals that the Honorable Prime Minister's government has taken it very seriously, and they have given it to the sports administrators of the country. Uh, having said that, esports is something that I'm extremely passionate about because that is the future. See, today you take a example. When I was growing up, or when I think a couple of people in your audience were growing up, you would go to the field, you would play your game, you would get hurt. It would teach you about failure. It would teach you about success. If you were a cricket player, when you scored a 50, you would come back home and you would be like, it made my day. You were all over the moon. But you look at what is happening to this generation. This generation is extremely happy if they win a game of Street Fighter, if they win a game in PUBG, if they win a game in Mortal Kombat or Call of Duty or Valorant or any of these platforms. So we said, how can we look to create a career pathway for the next generation players? I mean, whichever decade you take, if you're a cricket player, you're a cricket player. But if you're an esport player, you're an esport player because that's what you like doing. And that got us thinking. And in fact, I'm one of the office bearers of the Tamil Nadu Esport Association. And we feel that it's very important for the next generation to have a safe landing in terms of a career pathway for them, and that's why we felt that esport will be a very, very important piece in the puzzle to tackle and to handle the next generation and to give them a guidance on how esport too can make you a successful sports person.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree with that. And I think we should be more concerned about the young generation. That's incredibly good answer. So, what role can dispute resolution play in creating trust and fairness within sports ecosystems?
See, in fact, it's a very interesting question because we have actually created the first ODR platform for sports resolutions in the country. It is called as the Center for Entertainment and Sport Resolutions, that's headquartered out of Delhi, where we feel that clogging up, see, any sporting dispute today can be resolved if you sit across the table. You don't have to necessarily go to the court. And you don't have to necessarily go to the court to understand what has to happen. Uh, you can the dispute resolution ecosystem that we have built through CESR, which is the Center for Institute of Sports Resolution, Center for Entertainment and Sports Resolution, creates a framework for sporting disputes to come in, ensure they are resolved, and move forward. It makes the whole experience a lot more pleasant, and it makes the experience a lot more forthcoming. So for any future sports administrator, you would have a sense of happiness taking up roles because you feel that if there's any dispute, there is an ODR platform that is available to sort out. Because one of the key things that ODR does in any ecosystem is that it absorbs the negativity and the emotional charge that people have when they go to court, as opposed to if you're on an online platform, so the online platform absorbs that for the individual.
Yeah, that's an important point. So, moving further, a common theme across your work seems to be institution building. What does institution building mean to you?
See, institution building to me means working with the existing system, ensuring you're plumbing the existing system to ensure that you make it a lot more efficient. The future of, see, we live in an ecosystem where everybody today is very trigger sensitive. Tolerance is not there. But institutions have outlasted tolerance from time immemorial. So the stronger the institution is, the more broad-minded the institutions are, the greater impact it is for the culture and the edifice of a particular country. Now, I strongly believe that institutions here are there to create a lasting impact on people. It can be sports, it can be technology, it can be the legal institutions, whatever institution it is, unless there are strong foundation for institutional building, there will come a time where we would thank our forefathers for building strong institutions that is able to act as anchors and as guardrails for the next generation. Because institutions always outlive individuals. That's a fundamental understanding that the next generation, through your podcast, I would like to share to all your audience and other young generational aspirants, the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, is that have faith in institutions, have faith in institutional building, because they are the people who will outlive your legacy and outlive what you foresee it to be.